Now, speaking of questions and answers, the Labor leader Anthony Albanese was campaigning in Western Australia today, and a voter, a punter, turned up at the press conference. Have a look at this exchange.
I'm not a media person. I'm just a local resident. Thank you for coming to my neck of the woods. I've got a tough question.
Hang on.
Are you up for it? I've got a tough question. Are you up for it?
I'm absolutely up for it.
Okay, good.
And sorry, we can't really do that. The protocol, the Media Alliance will be a bit upset if we...
I don't think the media will mind at all. I've said, are you up for it? Are you up for it?
I'm absolutely up for it.
Okay, so my question is,
we're just taking questions from journalists because that's what you do at a press conference.
Well, how about that, hey? He never got to ask his question. We don't know what the question was. Anthony Albanese didn't come back to him afterwards. He just rushed off to the next event. Now, we all know, don't we? Anybody in this country, if they're honest with themselves, knows that if that exchange happened with Scott Morrison, it would have been turned into a big media event. They would have pursued that bloke to find out what his question was and what grievance he had with the Labor leader, but instead it's just brushed off. We'll see how this sort of stuff develops throughout the campaign, but I'm going to keep exposing these media games for you on this program. It's always instructive to look at who talks to who during a campaign, what questions are asked and what questions are answered. If you remember at the last election campaign, almost exactly 3 years ago now, I kicked off by framing some questions that Bill Shorten should answer. I put them up on screen most nights, just reminding people exactly the questions that Bill Shorten would not come onto the program to answer. Have a look. So here's what I'd like answers to on your behalf, the questions that Labor are dodging. How much will their climate and energy policies cost? How much will these policies increase our cost of living? How much will Labor's electric car push cost us? And how will Labor's climate and energy policies actually improve the climate? They are pretty straightforward questions, and we'd like some straightforward answers. OK, that was 3 years ago. Bill Shorten didn't come onto the program to answer any of those questions. But as you know, later in the campaign, eventually some of the press gaggle at times asked him some of those questions, and they proved pretty pertinent. So I thought what we'd do as we're about to start this campaign is put up some of the key players in this campaign and a couple of the key questions they should answer. Now, Anthony Albanese has come on and been interviewed by me on this channel a number of times, including since he's been Labor leader. So I'd like to get him on again during the campaign. And here are the two key questions for Anthony Albanese. Why do you now oppose new taxes that you've previously backed? He's backed in the past the carbon tax, the mining tax, even death duties. And also, will his climate policies produce any discernible change in the weather? Now, there are a couple of questions for Anthony Albanese, but there are other leading figures in the Labor Party, frontbenchers, we have asked onto this program time and time again over the past 3 years. They've never come on for an interview. So let's go through some of those who would like to get on this program and what we'd ask them. We'd start with the Shadow Treasurer Jim Chalmers. Jim Chalmers, really, I'd like to ask him, why are you planning to scrap the Coalition's cap on the national tax take? Sounds like he wants to increase the tax take. And when he worked for Wayne Swan during the GFC, how much of that spending was wasted? I wonder if he'd admit to wastage when it comes to, pink bats or the cash for clunkers scam or even the cash handouts. What about Penny Wong, the Shadow Foreign Minister? I'd like to ask her how she's going to improve relations with China without kowtowing to Beijing. If she's not going to give any ground to Beijing, how will she improve the relationship as she claims she'll be able to do? And also, will she be able to ignore Labor's China lobby led by Paul Keating and Bob Carr, a former Foreign Minister and a former Prime Minister who constantly urged Labor to kowtow to Beijing? And what about Kristina Keneally, who would be Home Affairs Minister in charge of securing our borders? If boat arrivals were to start again, would she allow asylum seekers to come to the mainland? She's always been critical of offshore processing. Would she allow asylum seekers then to come to the mainland? And would she turn boats back, even though Kevin Rudd once said that that would start conflict with Indonesia? very, very important questions for Kristina Keneally if she's going to be the person in charge of keeping our borders secure. We know already there is intelligence reports that have come through in the media that, of course, the people smugglers are watching very closely what will happen with our election here, because they know, as happened last time when there was a change of government to Labor, the laws were relaxed and they were able to start up their trade again. So there are some of the key players that we'd like to get on this program. There's some of the key questions we'd like to ask. Will they turn up? I wouldn't hold your breath.